I'm Corey Whitford. You're watching Moccasin Trail News Live for January the 18th, 2021. Pichiwi gishepwe, pichige gagapin yakwitin awaching mango. Awaching no my own gaining gangisha. Who has I gisinamagat? Gisinamagan. Ahamsa, ni talking to dinamagan. Happy to get the week underway. Happy Martin Luther King Jr. Day. Happy Blue Monday. Happy Sports Day. The Jets, yeah. Nung gumwe ay will domino at Toronto. Taje mi mawanda jusko deot. Yeah. Happy welcome back to school day for the kids in secondary and elementary schools. Welcome back. Sago chigi kita ban. Nangya. Aham satash ni tok nituk. Dinema nituk. Here to have a coffee with you and join me in having a coffee. You're watching the official online news portal of the Treaty 2 territory. Bonjour, good morning. Bonjour, good morning. We're going to go through all of the news. I've got 5 tabs open and we intend on going through all of the news this morning. Amsa. Bonjour. Ese minupagod. Sige, ese ko tago minupagod. And we're going to be having an interview this morning with Mr. Alan Sutherland, Lifelong Learning Lodge. The circle, as a circle keeper, he will give us an update on what he plans and what he intends on doing in the next few weeks. Minange, I want to welcome you once again to Moccasin Trail News. Daily news, interviews, storytelling from the Treaty 2 territory. Early this morning on the Monday morning broadcast. But first, let's take a look around. Let's find out what's going on around town. If you turn to your website, I'm taking this from my Moccasin Trail News Live Facebook page. So mine, and I've got 3 posts, 5 posts to share with you since the last time we met. I'll start with the one where I left off. Published by Marlene Davis, January the 16th at 8:30 in the evening. Treaty 2 territory. It reads. It's one about restorative justice. Just to touch on the stories that we're working on right now and all the work and the tasks we're communicating to you. If a system is making the people sick, do we cure the people and place them back in the system? Or do we cure the system? Ernest Mann Kikitoye, we quoted him. FNT2T's restorative peacemaking circle is progressively working to move away from the systems that are not working and shifting to healing-based models. To read more, click on the link, and it's part of our restorative peacemaking story. So there's one there for you to choose from. And then this one published 10 hours ago on the Moccasin Trail News, on the Moccasin Trail News Live webpage. And it has a picture of former Grand Chief Derek Nepinak on the front. Let me give it a read here. Government of First Nations and Treaty 2 territory welcomes Derek Nepinak as policy keeper for our children, families, and nation circle. Wow. What a great acquisition to the team. What a wonderful addition. Wonderful compliment to the team of sacred work that we're doing here. Minonya pa utapin amang yai. Nishnabek kugagijitchiot measure. And the headline reads, Government of First Nations and Treaty 2 territory welcomes Derek Nepinak as policy keeper. Let me press on that and see where it takes us. Takes us to the fnt2t.com website. For more information, you can follow Mr. Derek Nepinak. Nibin makwa. Nibin makwa. Spring Bear. Summer Bear. Summer Bear. Ishinikazo, eh? Derek, very good person to be aligned with in our organization. Served as the Assembly of Manitoba Chiefs Grand Chief from 2011 to 2017. Former Chief of Pine Creek First Nation from 2008 to 2012. And former Chairman of the West Region Tribal Council 2009-2011. Nepinak has built a reputation as a strong leader and negotiator with an educational background in law, policy, history, and art. His advocacy is built on understandings of inherent and treaty rights as the foundation for relationship building and reconciliation in Canada. With Canada. During his time as Grand Chief, Nepinak was a constant advocate for the return of children to their homes and communities and played a key role in establishing Manitoba's First Nations Family Advocates Office. Nepinak also played key roles in national discussions in education forum, treaty rights protection, and has led legal actions to protect Indigenous hunting and fishing rights, Indigenous territory, and consumer rights. Since leaving politics, Derek has helped communities in a variety of capacities, including Indigenous law reclamation, constitution drafting for communities, and political and governance aggregates. Land conversions, including fee simple, commercial and land designations, and reserve creation, corporate governance structuring, operational management assistance, and business innovation services. Nepinak holds a first-class honors BA from the University of Alberta, a law degree from the University of Saskatchewan, and has completed the intensive program in Indigenous lands, resource, and governance at Osgoode Hall Law School at York University in Toronto. During his time in law school, Derek earned the award for the top student submission to the Indigenous Law Journal, University of Toronto, as well as the Roger Carter Scholarship from the Native Law Center in Saskatoon, Saskatchewan. Derek is a sun dancer and a father of 4 beautiful children. Welcome to our circle, Derek. We know you are destined to do great things for our children and our families. Submitted by Marlene Davis, our communications keeper. Miigwech Marlene, that's wonderful news to hear first thing this morning. Our next one comes, our next article, taken from the same website, was published by Marlene Davis 9 hours ago. And it reads, Government of First Nations in Treaty 2 territory welcomes Desiree Dorion to Children, Families, and Nation Circle. Wow. Okay. Oh my. Yes, jobs are available at First Nations, at the government of First Nations in Treaty 2 territory, and people are getting hired. Nice to see all that development happening. Good morning, Alana. Good morning. Good morning from the Treaty 2 territory, Sego. And good morning, my friends. Let's continue on here while we're sipping on a coffee here. Alan Sutherland will be making an appearance this morning, and we'll talk to him too during our broadcast. Okay, let's get back to that Mogson Trail News Live Facebook page. I'd like to read a little more about Desiree Dorion here. And it reads, posted January 18, 2021. Treaty 2 territory. The government of First Nations in Treaty 2 territory in assisting local nations with restoring jurisdiction over their children and families in a culturally appropriate manner that enhances the preservation of identity, culture, language, and ways of being. FNT2T will work with all current agencies and governments to ensure that the child's well-being is the priority in any arrangement or transition. On March 23rd, 2020, FNT2T gave notice to Canada seeking to take over child and family services for the local nations under an act respecting First Nations, Inuit, and Métis children, youth, and families, Bill C-92. The work plan seeks to replace the entire provincial child welfare system. Canada and its provinces have until March 24, 2021 to agree on a coordination agreement. First Nations in Treaty 2 territory is proud to welcome Desiree Dorion to our Children, Families, and Nation Circle in a legal capacity. Desiree is a member of the Opaskwayak Cree Nation and grew up in Dauphin. She received her law degree from the University of Manitoba in 2008 and was called to the bar in 2009. She has over a decade of litigation experience in child protection law. She recently completed her arbitration course through the Alternative Dispute Resolution Institute of Canada and expanded her practice to include arbitration services. In September 2020, Desiree opened her own practice in Dauphin, Parkland Collaborative Legal Options. She is happily married and has two daughters, Grace and Natalie. We are thrilled to have Desiree join our circle and appreciate the magnitude of legal guidance and direction that she brings to our government as we all strive in a direction to protect our children and families. Submitted by Marlene Davis, Communications Keeper. Well done, both of you. Wow, is this ever beautiful news to wake up to this morning? And as well, we got to explore the cycle of life. This next post um, acknowledges, honors, remembers, and reflects on the the leadership of Mr. Norman Travers Sr., former chief of Opaskwayak Anishinaabe Nation, Lake St. Martin, and a member of our government of FNT2T's Knowledge Council. Rest in peace, Norman Travers Sr. You will be missed. Jibi ga dege humachi animituan. Ga animitun we. Jibi ga te. Treaty posted January 17, 2021. Chinao. Anameijuk. Treaty 2 territory. With sadness, we announce the passing of Norman Travers Sr. He was a former chief of Opaskwayak Anishinaabe Nation, Lake St. Martin, and a member of our government of FNT2T's Knowledge Council. He spent a number of years guiding us and giving us his tremendous knowledge. Grand Chief Eugene Eastman says this: he was a great leader. We spent time listening to his vision and insight on moving our nation, government, and territory forward. He was a great protector of our treaty. His knowledge will never be forgotten. FNT2T would like to send condolences to his wife, Winnie, family, and give prayers and a smudge. Miigwech, Knowledge Keeper Travers, for your wonderful years of giving us some lifelong learning. When there's pictures, Mr. Norman Travers Sr. The cycle of life. Miigwech, thank you for that update. This next article, the latest one that was just posted, published by Marlene Davis 8 hours ago, and it reads, Knowledge Council meets to discuss Wisakutatiwin, Kijibabwewin, and our FNT2T Lodge. I've got to read this one. Um, this one can also be found on the FNT2T.com website. Ganimiton, Mr. Louis Malcolm met with Alan Sutherland. It shows a picture of both gentlemen sitting side by side in split screen, most likely during a Zoom meeting or a one of the other social media platforms. Zoom ganabach, Microsoft Teams, magija. Kain get you and it reads January 17, 2021. Treaty 2 Territory. On Wednesday, January 13, 2021, the Knowledge Council met to review the current governance. Wisakutatiwin, Kijibabwewin, Unity Circle, Ijinikate, FNT2T Lodge, and reviewed the new FNT2T Sovereign Administration. Karen Kijik, Policy Keeper and Acting Health and Wellness Keeper, continued to work with our Knowledge Keepers on Wisakutatiwin, Kijibabwewin, Unity Circle. The Knowledge Council have been working on the following. The vision that the Anishinaabe peoples of Treaty 2 territory have is to act ethically and with the highest honor in personal and professional conduct, in accordance with the supreme principles of Wisakutatiwin, unity, while maintaining the understanding that there may be deliberations in the lawmaking process and contributions made by every lead spokesperson that is viewed as an expert in this area is necessary. The sacred reciprocity and connection to our ancestors and leaders before us is also recognized in this spiritual realm as Kijibabwewin, in that we value everyone that is part of the everlasting circle and a sacred connection to our identity as Anishinaabe peoples. The FNT2T Lodge spent some time presenting a brief note on official naming, which has been tabled and will be discussed during the next council. The Knowledge Council and Lodge discussed the 7 principles of Anishinaabe Mino Bimatisiwin. All along this red road, we are the Anishinaabe. Life that has been given to us by Gichimanidu. Each and every one of us has been given gifts by Gichimanidu, including Mino Bimatisiwin, living the good life. To live Mino Bimatisiwin, we must return to the teachings, to the way of understanding and speaking Anishinaabemwin. Bishka Bayang. Bishka Bayang. The return of our teachings. Bishka Bayang is the first step in the process of being Anishinaabe. Wow. I gotta take a moment. This is a big thing. Let's take a look at the live page, see who's on the system. Good morning, Gabriel Nichogan. Good morning. I don't see him. He didn't show up on my screen here. I'm waiting for him. Alan Sutherland. Gibion ma Nichogan. Umandaya. Good morning, Alana. Ikwegeget. We're just waiting for Alan Sutherland here. He's going to be patched in this morning. Just waiting for him to show up on the screen. But let me continue, and when he comes in, we'll patch him in. Maybe it could be while I'm reading. Good morning, Sean. Good morning. Just finishing up the article here. I'll hear I'll hear Alan if he pops in, but just waiting to see if he'll pop in. Looking at my screen and nothing yet. Have just a little bit more to go, and then we've updated the Mogson Trail News Live Facebook page. The last one, the last paragraph here. The Anishinaabe Minobimatiziwin principles provide the means to live and learn as an Anishinaabe way of life. These principles will be used to guide the Earth Lodge in developing programs, education, research, and projects. The Lodge will be a place to unite our common vision and help guide the Anishinaabe as we build a bridge between our ancestral past and our future. Our knowledge keepers have provided us with direction. We have been told by our ancestors from across Turtle Island that it is not one nation, but many nations that inherit the responsibility of looking after the land. We have been told that all creation stories are true. Our task is to understand and honor our own creation story and the creation stories from the Anishinaabe as the original peoples of the land. We have been told that our ways of life can be found in our language. It is in our language that we learn our Anishinaabe culture, customs, well-being, and history. We have been told to stand strong and be proud to be Anishinaabe and to remember our ancestors for what they stood for, what they lived through, and to ensure that our children to come should receive these gifts. It is our responsibility and obligation to do so. We've been told to use the knowledge of our ancestors, the knowledge of who we are as Anishinaabe, and to develop an Anishinaabe way of life for today's world. This will provide a better world for the Anishinaabe children of tomorrow. Beautiful, beautiful, full program of information. So checking back to the Be Live platform. See, I haven't seen our friend today. Link is in can send him the link. Give him the link. Good morning, Leeson. Good morning, Thomas. Good morning, my friends. Yes, you teach the children. You teach the children. Let's try the next website. That one was from the Mogson Trail News Live Facebook page. There's 3 stories there that we talked about. We're going to go to the Treaty 2 Territory website. Excuse me, the Treaty 2 Territory Facebook page. And I'm going to scroll here till I find where there's a few new ones here. I'll start right from where I last remember. Start right here. This one. Posted. I'm on the Treaty 2 Territory website now. Reading straight from the page. Employment opportunities with Census Canada. You could earn up to $21.77 per hour plus expenses. Apply today. I'm It says Census Jobs. Statistics Canada is hiring in your community. I once worked at Statistics Canada too. This is the job I did. Me when up gaining same job, just a different year. That was about 15 years ago. Statistics Canada is hiring in your community. Schools, housing, and health and emergency services are all planned using census data. Use your local knowledge and sharpen skills that are sought after by employers. In the current context of COVID-19, we are committed to ensuring the safety of our employees at all times. Help your community to plan for a future. Apply now. Important to know, there are approximately 32,000 jobs available across Canada. Pay varies by position from $17.83 to $21.77 per hour. In select northern and remote communities, rates are from $29.25 to $31.25 per hour, plus authorized expenses. Start and end dates vary by position and location, but are between March and July 2021. You must be available to work flexible hours during days, evenings, and weekends. Apply now, tell a friend. www.census, that's census.gc.ca, or call direct 1-833-830-3106. 1-833-830-3106. Next one. This one here. I wanted to read this one here. And this one's posted on the Mogson Trail News website as well. Wow, good news coming out. This one was posted in January the 18th, 2021. And the headline reads, Inspire announces new Vice President of Programs and Students Success, Rebecca Chartrand. Wow, ni chogan yit no kima kwa inga inita no kia kwe. Pachai, very hard-working woman. Manati, to win my respect to you. My respect. Indigenous Education, Canada's Future. That's what Inspire is all about. And it reads as follows. Treaty 2 Territory. Congratulations, Rebecca Chartrand from Minne-Wazibi, Pine Creek First Nation, Anishinaabe Nation. Inspire announces new Vice President of Programs and Student Success. With the advent of 2021, Inspire is pleased to announce the arrival of our new Vice President of Programs and Student Success, Rebecca Chartrand, Bachelor's of Education, Masters of Education, is Anishinaabe, Ininu, and Métis from Pine Creek First Nation on Treaty 4 territory. Rebecca comes to us from her role as Division Principal and Anti-Racism Lead at the Seven Oaks School Division in Winnipeg, where she was instrumental in developing Indigenous education policy and strategy that has made Seven Oaks a leader of Indigenous education in Manitoba. For more on the story, see Inspire at the following link. Wow, I'm so proud of you. Congratulations, Rebecca. You're doing big things. Congratulations, Nijawan. Respect. And one more on taken from the Treaty 2 Territory Facebook page. Inspiring words by the amazing Isaac Murdoch. This post made 7 hours ago. And I'm gonna Kindness and love is by far the most powerful medicine I have ever seen. It has saved more lives than anything else in the history of the world. It's simple, free, and can save the world. It's also connected to the spirit, and that's what gives me so much hope in people. I refuse to give up on humanity. Hashtag believe. Miigwech. And good morning, Beatrice. Miss Beatrice Ironstand. Beatrice Ironstand. Yeah, huh? No, sige, kasi what a lot of news this morning. That's the Treaty 2 Facebook page. All right, you're all caught up. And now the Moxon Trail News, the official news portal of the Treaty 2 territory page. Everything that I've just shared with you can be found on the moxontrailnews.com website. Okay, getting back to now one more thing, mail, checking our inbox, news at mtnlive.ca. Just one message from Marlene. Thank you, Marlene. Yes, our guest has been notified. Nange, our guest has been notified. You gotta be on. We'll wait for our guest, Mr. Alan Sutherland. Anage, what the bit question? Magisha. And good morning, Jason Prince. Brandon, Nito again. Good morning, Jason. Oh, it's nice to see you, Jason. Good morning, Bunny John. Good morning. Okay, well, 8:32. That's been our half-hour broadcast this morning. We were waiting for one of our guests to come onto the show and talk a little bit about what's happening at the lodge. At the lodge right here where we're broadcasting live from the lodge in Treaty 2 territory. At the lodge. This is where our broadcast is taking place. Westman Communications. 160 BPMS. That's why we're so grateful to you. Westman Communication. Well, normally I to go on Facebook, to go on check my emails. On my emails, try and catch up to the morning brief. Let's look internationally now. Let's see what's happening internationally. Here is your morning brief taken from the CBC News. Here's what you need to know to get the day started. Your morning brief for Monday, January 18, 2021, submitted by John McCutcheon. And there's about 7 here. And your first headline of the morning, on Martin Luther King Jr. Day. Here's what your first headline reads. Biden indicates plans to cancel Keystone XL pipeline permit on first day in office. Sources confirm. U.S. President-elect Joe Biden has indicated plans to cancel the Keystone XL pipeline permit via executive action on his first day in office, sources confirmed to CBC News on Sunday. A purported briefing note from the Biden transition team mentioning the plan was widely circulated over the weekend after being shared by the incoming president's team with U.S. stakeholders. The words rescind Keystone XL pipeline permit appear on a list of executive actions supposedly scheduled for day one of Biden's presidency. Biden is to be sworn in on Wednesday. The list shown to stakeholders is a lengthier version of a list already reported in the media based on a memo released publicly over the weekend by Biden's chief of staff, Ronald Klain. That publicly reported memo from Klain did not mention Keystone XL, but cautioned that the memo was not a complete list of planned actions. Prime Minister Justin Trudeau, in his first conversation with Biden as president, elected in November, indicated that he wanted to speak further about some potential irritants, including Keystone XL and Biden's proposed Buy American policies. Biden foreshadowed such a cancellation months ago, announcing in a U.S. TV interview and through statements from his campaign team that he intended to cancel the $8 billion cross-border pipeline. However, proponents of the project have been hoping that he might reconsider once in office. Federal Conservative leader Erin O'Toole called on Trudeau to reach out to the incoming U.S. administration to ensure Keystone moves forward. Keystone XL is a project of national significance that supports countless workers on both sides of the border, he said in an emailed statement. However, Green Party leader Anna May Paul welcomed the news, calling Biden's potential actions a contrast in leadership to new offshore drilling projects greenlit by Canada's Environment Minister earlier this week. Wow. Ready to board. Next story. Ready to board, and it shows a picture of everyone's wearing face masks and all types of PPE. Again, this is taken from the CBC News brief where we get emailed. We're on a syndicated list of emails, and we get the morning brief every morning. Foreign passengers wearing protective suits prepare for their flight to China at Manila's International Airport on Monday. Coronavirus infections in the Philippines have surged past 500,000 in a new bleak milestone, with the government facing criticisms for failing to immediately launch a vaccination program amid a global scramble for COVID-19 vaccines. And now in brief. Starting today, Nova Scotia becomes the first jurisdiction in North America to switch from an opt-in organ donation system to an opt-out system. It's a move that medical experts across the continent are watching with great interest. Instead of signing organ donation cards, the system is now built around presumed consent, that every adult is open to being a donor if they die. Those who are opposed can register on the opt-out list, and their families will also be able to make a decision at the bedside to stop the process. And it's not for everyone. The rules do not apply to children or those who lack the capacity to understand the concept. People who have lived in the province for less than a year are also exempt. Read more on the change to organ donation in the province. Racial slurs, physical assaults, and noose hung in a fire hall. Workplace reviews kept secret. These are just some of the experiences detailed by a group of current and former BIPOC, Black, Indigenous, and People of Color employees at the Calgary Fire Department. who are demanding 9 changes to what they describe as an extremely toxic environment. A letter detailing a workplace crisis was sent to Chief Steve Dongworth last summer from self described racialized or otherwise marginalized members of the fire department. It details allegations of racism and sexism that, in some cases, have contributed to suicide, the authors allege. In a written statement, Dongworth didn't deny racism exists within the department and said harassment and discrimination will not be tolerated. He also said CFD, Calgary Fire Department, is creating a safe disclosure office so members can report abuses. Read more on this story here. Under Ontario's vaccination rollout plan, older adults living in their own homes won't be vaccinated until phase 2, a phase that could begin as early as March, according to government officials, and will continue through to July. It's a tiered system by age groups, starting with those 80 years of age or older, then decreasing by 5-year increments. They've told us from the beginning of this pandemic that we were vulnerable. After long-term care, we were the next vulnerable population, said Ketty Samuel, 71, of Thornhill, Ontario. All of a sudden, we're expendable. That's our feeling. The Ontario Ministry of Health says the roadblock to vaccinating more people faster is supply, which is expected to increase in phase 2. But in the meantime, some are questioning whether everyone getting a dose in phase 1 is as vulnerable as seniors in the community, with figures from Public Health Ontario showing that more than a third of COVID 19 deaths are adults over 60 who aren't in long term care. Read more about the vaccination plans here. In some provinces, including Saskatchewan and Manitoba, public health workers make daily phone calls to people with COVID 19 to actively monitor their symptoms and compliance with the rules. The practice is recommended by the Public Health Agency of Canada, but some provinces do not actively monitor cases. Alberta Health Alberta Health Services does not actively monitor people who are sick with COVID 19 at home. Ontario's Ministry of Health advises public health units to notify people of their COVID 19 positive status with a phone call, then make follow up phone calls on day 5 and day 10 at a minimum. On other days, the person is supposed to receive at least a text message or email. Read more about the case monitors here. Worries over a possible insider attack or other threat from service members involved in securing President elect Joe Biden's inauguration has the FBI vetting the 25,000 National Guard troops taking part in the event, U.S. defense officials say. The massive job comes in the wake of the storming of the U.S. Capitol on January 6 by pro Trump rioters. Army Secretary Ryan McCarthy and other leaders say they have seen no evidence of any threats, and officials said the vetting hadn't flagged any issues that they were aware of. Read more on the security buildup ahead of Biden's inauguration here. Now for some good news to start your Monday. During a canoe ride down the North Saskatchewan River in October 2019, Mike Lees and Jeff Penny stumbled upon a rare find in the middle of Edmonton. It was a 65 to 75 million year old, 360 plus kilogram petrified tree stump. Paleontology experts were excited, but didn't have the resources to collect it. Once the two men made it their mission to extract the fossilized tree, they refused to be stumped. I don't think I would have ever forgotten if I just left it there and let it go downriver, Penny said. The two men used everything from extension cords to a homemade barge to extract the stump and get it to the University of Alberta, where the fossil is now on display at its Paleontology Museum. Read more about the discovery of the petrified stump. And today in history, January the 18th. In 1919, the Paris Peace Conference to end the First World War opened in Versailles, France. The conference is charged with remaking the map of Europe as well as dealing with the devastation of the war. Today in history, in 1949, Charles Ponzi, engineer of one of the most spectacular swindles in history, dies destitute in the charity ward of a hospital in Rio de Janeiro, Brazil, at age 66. Today in history, in 1967, Yellowknife is chosen as the capital of the Northwest Territories. And finally, today in history, January the 18th, in 1988, residents of Prince Edward Island vote 59.4% in favor of a bridge or tunnel connecting them to the mainland. The Confederation Bridge opened on May 31st, 1997. Wow, that took almost 10 years to build that bridge. Almost 10 years to build that bridge. You're all caught up. Drop us a line anytime. Send your ideas, feedback, and notes to news@mtnlive.ca. Miigwech. Okay, back to the Be Live platform. Miigwech Kinoya, thank you for tuning in once again. It was an extensive read, an extensive program today. I want to thank you once again. Any comments, any news, anything to share along the way, feel free to send it to news@mtnlive.ca. I'll populate that up on the screen for you so you can see the exact email address. Milma Ijinejamushkan. Any news, comments, or issues, feel free to send it to news@mtnlive.ca. Aho. I'm your host, Corey Whitford. You've been watching the Monday edition, January the 18th, 2021, the morning edition of Moccasin Trail News Live, the official online news portal of the Treaty 2 Territory. Aham sa tashni choganidug, dinemanganidug, ang womisik, igawab minimino no quick, shigumino ay nisutibegan jiseg. And just a note on tonight's Anishinaabe Amwin class, in the wake of all of this activity, we're going to need that Monday night back, and we want to tell the kids and the families that we're switching Anishinaabe to Tuesday nights now. Instead of Monday nights, it will be on Tuesdays and Fridays. And just in the interest of having that Monday night for I to do some work, we're going to save Tuesdays and Fridays for the kiddies at 6 p.m. Anishinaabe Amwin with me, Corey the Coyote Whitford. Hamsadash. Ni joganidug. Dineamaganidug. Aho. Minoy wab migo. Take care. Have a great day. Aho. Miigwech.